Hello. I want to use this way of communicating to respond to Arun. Arun, you made a post, I think, a day ago, and I've read through this several times, and I want to start by saying to you that I really have quite enjoyed reading this. I've read over it, and over it again, and I want to respond to you with some ideas, not from the head, but from the heart mostly. And I don't know exactly where to dive in. I wish I could make a comment about the whole thing at once, but it doesn't work that way. I confess I do not meditate, while I also know that I should. So two things there. One is I appreciate your saying I do not meditate. Why do I say that? Because it's extremely common for people, for all of us, at some point to speak of, I meditate. People will say, I'm meditating for an hour. I'm meditating for 2 hours. And come to find out then that all that time the person was sitting there was not actually meditating. It was actually sitting there thinking or worrying. There's a comment that Swami Rama made that I have found quite inspiring. It's in one of his texts. He says in there, if you do not want to meditate, do not meditate. If you do not want to meditate, do not meditate. And because very often we end up with just worrying. But I also note here, Arun, that there's a part of you that has a different opinion. Now, I'm not terribly fond of the word should, because I've heard it said often that, we can should on ourselves or should on other people, should do this, should do that, sort of playing with the word should. But some part of your wisdom in there is telling you that you want to meditate, even though you say you confess you do not. But I'm going to go on here because I have some other comments. It may sound foolish saying this to those who attempt to teach me and guide me. I presume that means further down, you mentioned me and Maitri, so I presume that means mostly me. And I just want to say to you that I don't see or hear anything foolish in what you're saying. If you're thinking that, you said that, please don't put that on me. I am not thinking that Arun is foolish. As I said, I really quite enjoyed what you've written here, and I've been through it over and over, not to analyze it, but just to feel the presence of what you're saying. It prompted me to remember that the first communications that you and I had was by texting back and forth, and you told me a great deal about the abundance of obstacles that you have had in your life. I'm not going to comment on that here in front of everybody else, but this is the nature of those communications. You were telling me about obstacles. And then we talked about the fact that we can have peace of mind and tranquility and joy and those kinds of things, despite the fact that there are obstacles. So to me, when I read what you say here in this posting that you made, Arun, I find it frankly very, very exciting, because now you're not writing me a private message telling me about this, that, or the other problem or obstacles. There's a joy coming out of you here. There's a happiness in what you're saying. And I find that exciting. I hope that's okay. And I do not want to deal with them, you said. Nobody wants to deal with them. Nobody does. And further down here, you use the word educate, that what we're trying to do is do education with Swami Jay and Maitri. When I have conducted retreats before, I think I told you, I used to conduct 1-month retreats, a lot of them in India at our ashram in Rishikesh. And from time to time, a person would tell me in person or would later send me an email. I still get emails over my website and all this. or the Udemy courses we're making. Somebody will say to me, thank you I just want to let you know how much I appreciate all the information that you're giving me. And when I hear that, or somebody says, oh, I'm enjoying the classes that we're having a meditation retreat, and people are enjoying the classes. And I'm saying this to you in this moment because of this word education. When that happens, Arun, what happens to me internally? I have a very heavy, sinking feeling. It saddens me greatly when somebody thinks that what we are doing is about mere information. The comparison that I use sometimes is that what we're looking at is like a cookbook. You take a cookbook into the kitchen and you make a meal. You don't take a cookbook into the library and study the grammar. You don't take it into a classroom and study the grammar. I have met quite a few Sanskrit scholars in India and outside of India who think that studying all of this stuff is about taking a Sanskrit lesson. It's not. This stuff that we keep talking about is a cookbook. It's how to live with what you call the obstacles that I lost my thing there, that we don't want to deal with. None of us wants to deal with obstacles. Obstacles are a pain in the ass. Patanjali says this. The only reason we study Patanjali is, what does the man say? He outlines 13 major obstacles that we all run into. And then he says, basically, stay one-pointed. Well, Arun, my friend, when I look at this, I'm seeing you be one-pointed and focused on what you're doing in the life you're living. So I find that exciting. I look at that and I say, wow, Arun is doing what we're talking about. And I find this exciting. It's not about education. Here it is. The fact is that I do successfully maintain peace of mind with just 6 hours of sleep. But key I'm looking at here is I maintain peace of mind. That's not the Arun who was writing to me when you first started writing to me. You were not writing me telling me, oh, I have such great, wonderful peace of mind. You were writing me about, again, the obstacles. And now you're writing here in front of everybody that you have peace of mind. My dear friend, I find that exciting. I find what you have written here in the Table Talk group and shared with everybody to be inspiring. And I hope that the others in the group will look at what you said and look at what I'm saying back to you and reflect on this and look carefully at what Arun has said. I am successfully maintaining peace of mind. That is exciting. That's what we're trying to do. 6 hours of sleep. We don't need lots and lots of sleep. And so I think that's fabulous. The reduction of sleep in that kind of way is a positive sign of the effect of what you're doing. The need for 8 or 10, I don't know what you were sleeping, but the need for 8, 9, 10 hours of sleep is just not there. And you did not say, I'm continuing as I have the last 30 years. You said, I have returned to a daily walk. Fabulous. I think that's fabulous. I walk every day. I walk minimum of 3. My target is 5 miles a day. And almost every one of the 7 days in a week, I walk 5 miles a day. So I average over 30 miles a week that I walk. And you're going to start cycling. I think that's fabulous too. I have a bicycle, but I prefer walking to cycling. And I have a real crummy bicycle, old bicycle, so it doesn't ride very well. Somehow these practices help me. And I think this word that here, I think that was supposed to be than. I think these practices help me more than meditation in as far as maintaining good health is concerned, as they deal with my physical, mental issues also. Absolutely. This is the preparation for the process of meditation. The very first word that Patanjali puts in the Yoga Sutras is atta, now. And the scholars write about this. commentators write about. Swami Rama talks, everybody talks about that. This word atta implies that we have done the preparation, my friend. That's what you're describing to do. And dealing with the physical and mental health from doing this bicycle riding and the daily walk and having healthy sleep, this is right on track. This is perfect. Where meditation will take me, while I have in my view fully understood, your words, fully understood. Now, we could probably have a debate over whether it's 100% fully understood, but the spirit of everything that we are doing, that we, Matri and I, are trying to do to put out stuff for people, is in the spirit of an instruction that my own teacher gave to all of us. Says the whole process should be understood first. And so to me, this has been a motivating factor for trying to share with people, not to make, again, an intellectual study. That's it. So that we can have an overview of the whole practice. So when you say to me, you now have in your view and fully understood of this process, Arun, I find that exciting. And you know where meditation will take you. Your comment. I'm just looking at your comment. And so once again, I find that exciting. For perhaps this is not my path. Perhaps this is not my path. I don't know exactly how to respond to that, but I'm just going to make an attempt. The path that you are on is your path, my friend. This is your life. It is your path. And if you are reading into path that somehow what we are doing in our little corner of this world of ours, in our little ashram here, is trying to create a following or something like that of people who are aligned with our path, that is simply not the case. I have seen a lot of that going on. I've seen it happen in America. I've seen it happen in India. I know it's happened a lot in Europe, all over the world. There are people creating brand name paths and want you to join up with my path. I have tried as hard as I possibly can to not accidentally create such a monster. I really, really have. The path is one path. The path is within. The path is internal. That's the path that you're on. That's the path that we're all are on. So you are on your path. You are not on the Swami J path. You are not on the Matri path. All that I'm doing, attempting to do, is share with you ideas that come from the ancient sages out of the ancient India that have been passed down lovingly from person to person to person. That's all that has been happening. And so when I read what you're saying here, I feel a warm heart because I say, wow, look at what Arun is saying here. In this short interaction that he and I have been having, he's learning something. He's figuring out that this path is about himself, not about loyalty to some institution or religion or organization or ashram, and surely not to put some human being on a pedestal and refer to him as Guruji and bow down and sarcastically I say, touch his feet and kiss his ass. That's not it. So perhaps this is not my path. It is your path. It's your life. After a lifetime, I find myself in a most beautiful state. Now, when did Arun when is this now that Arun finds himself in a most beautiful state? I get to feel a sense of joy knowing that some of what you have been doing that you wrote above here, it has come in the time that you and I have known each other. I'm not taking credit for that, but I get to have the joy of knowing that I, just as a Swami J, touched another soul, and that you have been affected by this involvement in what you're doing. And I find it's heartwarming. It is a state in which I want to remain. And I agree with you completely. I too want you to remain in that state. So we don't have different wishes for Arun. and you want to nurture it and maintain it. And guess what? I'm right in there with you. I want you to nurture it and maintain it. It's what I want for you. And what I want for you doesn't matter. The question is what you want. It's one of the questions I had asked you. What do you want? It is a state of mind in which I have no goals, no intentions, no desires, other than ensuring I maintain my peace, remain at peace with the world and myself too. Once again, complete agreement. That's what all of this is about. So I look at this and I say, how cool is this? Arun is doing this stuff. I want not to disturb the tranquil waters within my mind. Good. I want it to experience no turbulence anymore while I simply, silently keep observing myself silently at all times, experiencing joy, abundance, and peace without any effort. Simply being, going with the flow. Do you know what the name of that process is that you just described in that paragraph, Arun, my dear friend? This is meditation. What you're saying here, what you want, this is called meditation. I don't care whether you're sitting on your butt not moving for 5 hours. You can't do it anyway. But what you're describing here is meditation. I'm running out of space here, so I have to put this thing this way. Take me out temporarily so I can get down here. It has nothing to do with anyone else, you say. That is absolutely true. This is a solo journey. It is a journey from the self, the little s self, to the capital S self within. It is a solo journey. No other human being can go with us. There is a point even in the life and death of the body where we must leave. One way of saying it is that this is an infinitely long sentence. There actually is no period, but there are commas in there. One of the commas is called birth, and the other one of the other commas is called death. So you and I came into this world and into these bodies, and we're going to leave. There's going to be a comma. It has to do with nothing. It has nothing to do with anyone else. But if we do this well, we meet some really wonderful, fascinating people on the way. That's the reason that I'm willing to have satsang with people, because it's very, very useful. We're not doing it with anyone else, but it's nice to have the friendship. It's nice to have the companionship. And I've seen that you have a lot of other friends, and you share what you're going through in your life and your positive things. You're sharing it with other people. That's the spirit of this. It has to do only with me. Absolutely. I am in total agreement with you. And of course, I like the choice of words here, the one that each one reaches out to differently. Completely, absolutely in agreement. And so we have too many people ego-driven in the world that says mine is the only way. And each one of us individually seeks that one in our own slightly different way. But yet, in a sense, they are all the same. You know the metaphor that says spiritual life is like climbing a mountain. Well, there are many, many, many paths up the mountain, but they all have one direction in common on a mountain metaphor, and that is called up. If you just keep meandering around the valleys below, you never make it to the pinnacle, to the peak of the mountain, where the capital O-N-E is found. And the one watches over, absolute agreement. And we all have, not all, but we humans, we have many, many different concepts of what that one is. Somebody says it's Buddha, somebody says it's Yahweh, somebody says it's Christ, somebody says it's Krishna, and on and on and on, and says it's Shiva as a being, not as a principle. The one that controls our universe actually is the universe. And I think that's not saying anything different. The one that silently guides us with the light. Silently guides us with the light. When Swami Rama asked me well over 20 years ago to start helping people, guiding people, I resisted this, Arun, tremendously. tremendously. I thought, I will not. This is what I'm thinking to myself. I wasn't so strong with him. I was terrified to be able to be thinking these things. I thought, how can I put myself in a place where I'm telling people I am your guru and all of this crap that people do? That's not it. There is one who silently, I lost my mouse thing there, one who silently guides. Guru is within. The thing that got me to finally go along with what I lovingly call him the boss, the thing that got me to finally go along with what the boss was asking me to do was the realization that my job was not to be the guru of anybody. My job is to teach the person to find the guru within. That is my job. That's the job that was given to me by my tradition. Find the guru within. And this is what he said he was doing. He said it's what his teacher taught him to do. And that, my friend, is the nature of this tradition. So there's not a Swami J and or Matri tradition trying to get you to follow me. If you're doing, which you are, I'm reading what you're saying here, is if you're doing what you're doing, and I have had the joy of being any part of that, that's my job. It's what I do. And you are living it. You are living example. I get to sit here. As I said, I've been reading this thing that you wrote over and over again, and I just find it deeply, deeply touching. Now, as far as a me talking to you, let's point my finger right. See there, you're over there on the screen now. That's you talking, and I am talking to you over there. As far as me talking to you, I get the joy. I, as a person, I am the O-N-E, and so are you, the capital O-N-E. I'm the one and you're the one. We're all the one. There's only one infinite ocean of consciousness and all that kind of stuff. But I get the joy. I really mean this. I get the joy, Arun, of reflecting back on all those typed conversations that we had back and forth and trying to think of what can I say that would be useful to Arun and all like this. And now I get this is that you've written here is sort of for me a crescendo. I keep using this word, I find it exciting. I find it exciting where you are in life, Arun. And when you say that all you want to do is maintain what you're doing or something like that, simply going with the flow without any effort, that's the journey that we're on. And this is done through meditation and contemplation. And what you have described here about your life now, you use the word now, is meditation, my friend. It is meditation, whether you're sitting on your butt or not. But I will add one little final comment. If you're doing all of this stuff in life, why would you want to deprive yourself at least once, if not twice or thrice a day, to have just a few minutes where you can just sit quietly? Not with a rule book, not with a Sanskrit lesson, not with all of that stuff. That's not why we go over it. We go over it to keep it simple. We don't go over this stuff to make it complicated. I know that it can look complicated, and that's because of the obstacles of our mind. But the intent, what we're attempting to do, maybe I'll send you a link. Maybe I'll put a thing. I will think I'm going to make another video and put it on the other place. On my inspiration page, I made some quotes from Swami Rama, and I parked. It was one of the first things I parked on my first website 20 years ago when somebody first introduced me to the internet. And it was a Swami Rama quote that says, "The teachings must be put in as simple of terms as possible so that all may understand and benefit." And that was one of the most motivating comments that I've had in my life. That comment is the driving force behind my whole life as it has been the last few decades. The first part of life was filled with a whole bunch of obstacles. Behind those obstacles was a hunger, was a passion, all this that we're talking about. It was there, but it had no validation, and it had no support, and it had no guidance. The last half of my life, that's been there. Take my whole 69 years and divide it in two, and the first half was like that, and the second half has been like this. I think I'll make a thing on that. But it's Swami Rama is saying the teachings must be put in as simple of terms as possible. Now, I sometimes feel like I'm failing at that because it should be simpler and simpler and simpler. But that's the motivation. That's what I've attempted to do. Is when we made these Udemy courses, people will tell me, I'm working hard on this course, and then I will do another one. I have to keep begging people, please stop working at this. Don't work so damn hard. We're trying to make this simple and straightforward. You go to the movie theater, you turn on your television set, and you just sit there and sort of nod off and watch the TV and catch part of the movie. But why, when I'm making a presentation in these things, that's what I wish people would do. But I know people turn it into, using your word, an education. It's not supposed to be an education. It's not supposed to be mere entertainment, but you just sit back and take it in. Take it in. I hope that's what you're doing as you're watching this right now. It's just a message from me to you. It's from me to Arun, knowing that other people in the Table Talk group here can listen into this conversation. Anyway, I think I should be quiet now. It's what I've got to say to you, Arun. And so I think you're quite on track. And once again, I'm going to just close with this comment that I have read what you said over and over, and I have thoroughly enjoyed it. I find it exciting, and I love what you're doing with your life. And I love you. Okay, bye all. Bye, Arun. And as you close that comment there, Om Tat Sat.